Muscle anatomy, there is no definite list of core muscles, which is why it can get a bit confusing whenever someone is referring to core strength or core muscle training. Core muscles are generally the muscles that contribute to spine stability, increase the pressure within the abdomen, and support the limb movement. Sounds like they're important, and they are. There's about 29 pairs of muscles that stabilize the spine, hip, and pelvis that could be considered as the core muscles. For the purpose of this video, which is building the aesthetic physique based on the understanding of the muscle anatomy, we're gonna split these core muscles into two groups: the abdominal muscles and the back muscles. These are going to be the most important muscle groups that move the spine. I'm not gonna cover all of the muscles that function as the stabilizer, because that's not the purpose of this video. Regarding the abdominal muscles, we're gonna divide them into two groups: the anterior and the posterior abdominal wall. Let's start with the rectus abdominis, or something that you may know as a six-pack. It originates at the sternum and ribs 5 to 7, and it inserts into the pubis. This muscle has the inner line called linea alba that separates the left and the right side, and it also has this tendinous intersection between the muscle bellies. The main action is the flexion of the trunk. Now, depending on which part of the body is in a fixed position, that will determine how this movement is specifically going to present itself. For example, when you're doing crunches, your lower body is in the fixed position, so you're performing the flexion by moving your upper body. On the other hand, let's say you're doing some hanging leg raises. In this case, your upper body stays in the fixed position and your lower body is moving in order to create that flexion. On the side of the external abdominal wall, we have the external obliques that originate from the ribs 5 to 12 and insert into the iliac crest, pubic crest, and the pubic tubercle. It also inserts into the linea alba, which means that its muscle fibers meet into this flat tendon that we call the rectus sheath that crosses over and holds the rectus abdominis. Both sides of obliques will engage to flex the trunk forward alongside with the rectus abdominis. However, if you want to laterally flex your trunk, then only one side of the obliques will be engaged. And since the fibers of the external obliques pass downwards towards the midline direction, when you perform any sort of twisting movement or when you're making that side bend, the movement will be aligned with the path of these muscle fibers and you will maximize their engagement. This means that if you wanted to maximize their development, you would have to include this type of movement in your training program. There's also two more layers beneath the external obliques. We have internal obliques and transversus abdominis, both of which are involved in flexing and twisting your trunk, only they don't look as cool as the external obliques. With the posterior abdominal wall, we have three main muscles that I'd like to mention. Psoas minor, psoas major, and iliacus are the main movers when it comes to lifting your thighs towards the torso. These muscles start from the lower back and pelvis, and they attach into the thigh bone. They are the most important hip flexors because of their attachments and the biomechanical advantage. So when you're training your abs with the hanging leg raises, these muscles are the reason why you're feeling it in your lower back. They're going to be involved in the first part of the movement since they have the biggest biomechanical advantage. During the second part of the movement, your abdominal muscles are going to take over because they are involved in tilting the pelvis and bending the spine. They're not attached to your legs.